The story of Diane Sindall, when a case ends but doesn't. For nearly 40 years, the murder of Diane Sindall was considered closed. The police had a suspect, there was a trial, a conviction was secured, most people moved on. The case was filed away as solved. But that certainly didn't last. Decades later, forensic testing delivered a bombshell. DNA evidence from the crime scene did not match the man who had been convicted. Suddenly, everything everyone thought they knew began to unravel. A man who spent 38 years behind bars may have been innocent all along, which leaves one disturbing question hanging over everything. If he didn't do it, then who did? And how has the real killer been walking free for nearly 40 years? This is the story of Diane Sindall and a case that was never truly solved. Diane Sindall was 21 years old when she died. She lived in Wirral, worked part-time behind the bar at the Wellington pub in Bebington, and also helped her family florist shop. She was engaged, planning her wedding for 1987, working extra shifts to save for her future. Friends and family said she was steady, kind, reliable, and careful. No risky habits, no trouble, and no enemies. Just an ordinary young woman getting on with her life. Friday the 1st, August 1986. Diane finished her shift just before midnight. The evening was quiet, no arguments, no strange customers, nothing out of the ordinary. She got into her small blue Fiat van, headed home through Birkenhead. Somewhere along Borough Road, the main road towards the Mersey Tunnel, the engine stuttered and died. She'd run out of petrol. Back in 1986, there was no mobile phones to call for help, and no roadside apps. So she grabbed a plastic fuel can from the back and started walking towards the nearest garage, about a mile away. Witnesses saw her between midnight and 12:20 a.m. walking alone, head down. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. Saturday, the 2nd of August, 1986. Around 11:45 a.m, her body was found in an alleyway right off Borough Road, Birkenhead. She had been sexually assaulted and suffered bad head injuries. The cause of death was blunt force trauma. Merseyside Police launched a full murder inquiry. Later, her handbag and personal items were found, partially burnt on Bidston Hill. Members of the public spotted them and called police. Even burnt, they were identified as hers, including a bank payslip with her full name on it. It was clear someone had tried to destroy the evidence. Detectives threw everything they had into the case, but they were working with tools that feel much more basic compared to what we have today. They had no CCTV cameras covering every street, no mobile phone tracking to follow her route, no quick DNA testing to identify someone straight away, just witness statements, physical clues, and what people remembered from the night. Officers went over every step. Her van left on Borough Road, the way she walked, and all nearby streets. They knocked on hundreds of doors and spoke to everyone who had seen her leave the pub. For weeks, leads came and went. Then they were focused on one man, Peter Sullivan, a 30-year-old local labourer who had been in the area that night. Peter Sullivan was arrested within days. At the time, the case against him was built on what witnesses said. Bite mark analysis, a method used back then but now proven unreliable. And a statement that was taken as a confession, but Sullivan took it back almost straight away, saying police had pressured him and took advantage of his learning difficulties. I just said what they wanted to hear to make it stop, he later claimed. In 1987, he went on trial. Even though he said he was innocent the whole time, the jury found him guilty and he was sentenced to life in prison. For nearly 40 years, the official story stayed the same. Peter Sullivan killed Diane Sindall. But inside prison, he never stopped saying he was innocent. He appealed in 2008 and again in 2019, but both times was turned down. Meanwhile, the evidence from that night was kept safe in storage. In 1986, you needed large amounts of material to test it, but in the 2020s, even tiny old samples could give a full DNA result. In 2021, the Criminal Case Review Commission finally agreed to have the evidence tested again. Forensic experts went back to the samples taken from Diane's clothes and body in 1986. Samples they couldn't analyse properly back then. And the results changed everything. They got a full male DNA profile. It did not match Peter Sullivan. It didn't match anyone else to be with her that night. It belonged to an unknown male, the real killer. The Court of Appeal later said if this DNA had been available at the original trial, there would have been no case against him at all. On the 13th of May 2025, Lord Justice Holroyd ruled that Sullivan's conviction was unsafe and wrong. It was squashed immediately. At 68 years old, Sullivan walked free, having spent 38 years behind bars, more than half of his life, for something he didn't even do. It was one of the longest miscarriages of justice in British history. But while Sullivan got his freedom back, the case was no longer closed, it was reopened. Right now, the murder of Diane Sindall is officially unsolved. Police hold the real killer's full DNA profile. So far, it doesn't match anyone on the UK National DNA database, meaning he has never been convicted of a crime that is required to give like a sample of DNA. Detectives have re-interviewed witnesses, gone through all old statements again, and asked more than 460 local men to give voluntary DNA samples, all of which have been ruled out. A £20,000 reward from Crimestoppers is still on offer for information leading to the killer. Time is running out, memories fade, witnesses pass away, but the secret has been kept for nearly 40 years. Diane never got her wedding day, or the life she was planning. Her family spent years thinking the right man was in prison, only to find out the truth was far harder. Peter Sullivan lost his youth, his reputation, and nearly 4 decades of freedom. And the real killer, he is still out there, maybe living locally, maybe moved away, but never made to answer for what he did. After nearly 40 years, the question stays the same as it was in 1986. Who killed Diane Sindall, and will we ever find out? Rest in peace, Diane, and love to all her family and friends.